Hey everybody, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here, and today, and I can't believe I have to say this, but move over Clearview AI, a new horrific privacy violator is coming for the throne. This is nuts. You definitely want to hear this. It's coming from the New York Times, and here's what's up. For basically $30 a month, $29.99, a website known as PimEyes offers a rather alarming service. That's the ability to search on any face you wish, and in seconds, the site will find obscure photos that would usually not see the light of day. Now, here's essentially how this works. You upload a face, any face, basically a photo of a face, check a box agreeing to their terms of services, and then you get a grid of photos that are deemed similar with links to where they appear on the internet. The New York Times used PimEyes on basically the faces of a dozen of their journalists, obviously with their consent, just to see what PimEyes would find on 12 New York Times journalists. Now, PimEyes found photos of every single person, some that even the journalists hadn't seen before themselves, even when they were wearing things like sunglasses or a mask, or their face was turned away from the camera. The image was basically them, and there we are. This is absolutely crazy. Now, PimEyes, for example, found one reporter dancing at an art museum, basically an event there a decade ago. Also, another picture crying after being proposed to. This is a photo that this journalist didn't like, but the photographer that took that picture decided to use it to advertise his business on Yelp. And there she found her picture. A tech reporter's younger self was spotted in a large crowd at Coachella in 2011. A foreign correspondent appeared in countless wedding photos and basically in the blurry background of a photo taken of someone else at a Greek airport in 2019, meaning their AI was so good, it found a blurry photo of that journalist in a Greek airport in 2019 and actually knew it was him or her. Now, also, a journalist's past life in a rock band was unearthed. Another one had their preferred camp getaway, like summer camp kind of thing, put out there. So this is the thing, like they're finding these obscure photos. But here's the thing though, unlike Clearview AI, which obviously is a similar facial recognition tool that's used by law enforcement and corporations and all that kind of stuff, which is I've done countless videos and podcasts and radio on Clearview AI. But unlike Clearview, PimEyes does not include results from social media sites like Facebook, which is where Clearview usually gets all of their stuff. Now, these images that basically PimEye is coming up to came instead from things like news articles that were published, wedding photography pages, review sites, blogs, and even adult content sites like pornography sites. Now, most of the matches for the dozen journalist faces were actually correct. For women, though, the incorrect photos often came from pornography sites, which obviously is unsettling in the suggestion that it could be them. And according to these journalists, it was not them, meaning somebody on an adult site looks like them, but it's not that actual New York Times journalist. But if you are running their face through this, you would think, oh my God, that New York Times journalist is on Pornhub or whatever, and here we are. Now, a tech executive who asked not to be identified said that he's been using PimEyes fairly regularly, primarily to identify people who harass him on Twitter and basically use their real photos on their accounts, but they don't have their real name, meaning I'm sitting there harassing that person and here's my mugshot, but I'm not using my real name. He's taking my photo, searching it to actually identify who I am for whatever purpose. So there you go. Another PimEyes user who was also interviewed and he also has to stay anonymous for obvious reasons, said that he used the tool to find the real identities of actresses from adult films so that he could search basically for explicit photos of them as well as explicit photos of his Facebook friends, meaning, I wonder if that person has anything interesting, taking a picture right off their Facebook, slapping it into PimEyes, hitting search, and getting results. That is terrifying. God, imagine the stalking, like you see somebody, oh, I'm going to stalk that person. You take a picture of them, you stick it there, and boom, you've got everything. That is nuts. Now, some are labeling this, though, as an extortion scheme, meaning PimEyes is an extortion scheme, and here's what basically we're talking about here. Now, the New York Times article basically talks about the story of an individual named Cher Scarlett, and I'm not going to go into all of the details of her story because it's a long article, but here's the gist of essentially what happened. PimEyes unearthed a old trauma for Miss Scarlett, with links to basically exactly where these particular photos could be found on the internet. They were basically moved and sprinkled along recent portraits of her, and also the work that she's done on labor rights. She's basically had some media coverage because she led a worker revolt at Apple, and so there you go. Now, she was worried about how people would react to these images, so Miss Scarlett immediately began looking on how to get these things removed, and that's an experience she described in both a Medium post as well as on CNN. When she clicked on one of the explicit photos on PimEyes, a menu popped up offering a link to the image and a link to a website where it appeared at basically an option to, quote, exclude from public results on PimEyes, meaning she saw a photo she didn't like and it gave her the option to basically exclude that from public results, meaning if I then took, let's say, a picture of Miss Scarlett, ran it through that as well, then it shouldn't show up. But according to Miss Scarlett, for this exclusion, she was basically able or not able to do this unless she was a subscriber for what they are calling the Protect plan, which costs anywhere from $89.99 to $300 a month. $90 to $300 a month to basically remove your pictures from this. Quote, it's essentially extortion, according to Miss Scarlett, who eventually signed up for the most expensive plan. Now, as a response, the owner of PimEyes, which is, for the record, based out of the country of Georgia, a man named Grigory Grabanadze, I'm probably not pronouncing that right, so we're just going to call him Grigory, basically disagreed with the characterization of extortion. He pointed to a free tool for deleting results from the PimEyes index that is not prominently advertised on the site, and why should it be? Most people are going to pay to basically not have their damning photos end up in a photo search engine. I can pay $30 to get on you. Again, imagine the stalking capabilities here. It's insane. Now, Grigory also provided a receipt showing that PimEyes had refunded Miss Scarlett for the $299, $300 a month plan, basically the month before this article was published. Now, PimEyes has, according to Grigory, tens of thousands of users, with most visitors coming to this site from the United States and Europe. It makes the bulk of its money from subscribers to its Protect service. That's the one from $90 to $300 a month, which obviously that's where they're going to make their money, which includes help from PimEyes support staff in getting photos taken down from external sites. Now, PimEyes also has a free opt-out as well for people basically to have data about themselves removed from the site, including the search images of their faces. Now, in order to opt out, Miss Scarlett provided a photo of her teenage self and a scan of her government-issued ID. In the beginning of April, she received a confirmation that her opt-out request had been accepted. But when the New York Times ran a PimEyes search of basically Miss Scarlett's face with her permission a month later, there were more than 100 results, including explicit ones. Now, Grigory, again, owner of PimEyes, said that this was a, quote, sad story, and that opting out didn't block a person's face from being searched. Instead, it blocks from PimEyes search results any photos of faces, quote, with a high similarity level, end quote, at the time of the opt-out, meaning that people then need to regularly opt out with multiple photos of themselves if they hope to stay out of PimEyes searches. Seems kind of ridiculous. Now, Grigory also said that explicit photos were particularly tricky, comparing their tendency to proliferate online to the mythical beast Hydra, quote, cut one head and two others appear. And he's absolutely right in that sense. This, once it's on the internet, somebody makes a copy of it, puts them on another website, and on and on and on, or just stores it, meaning even if Miss Scarlett was able to get basically all of her photos off, who knows how many people have downloaded photos that she doesn't want out there and have them and can post them later on in some way, shape, or form. Now, Grigory also said that he wanted, quote unquote, ethical usage of PimEyes, meaning that people only search for their faces and not those of strangers. But PimEyes does almost nothing to enforce this goal beyond a box that you basically have to click, asserting that the face that you're uploading is his or her, is your own. Meaning, as they interviewed people, like, yeah, I look up people on Twitter all the time that are harassing me, or I go through my Facebook friends' photos to see if I can find naked pictures of people. I mean, come on, there's no real anything here. And for the record, PimEye does not audit for this, though Grigori said the site would bar a user with search activity, quote, beyond anything logical, end quote, describing one with more than 1,000 searches in a day as an example. Now, he is basically relying on users to do what's right and basically mention that anyone who searches someone else's face without permission would be breaking European privacy law. But in that vein, we can look at the privacy disaster that is Clearview AI, and they've basically been doing the same thing, but in a different way. Clearview AI has faced serious trouble in Europe and also around the world. Privacy regulators in Canada, Australia, and parts of Europe have declared Clearview's database of 20 billion face images illegal and ordered Clearview to delete citizens' photos. Italy and Britain also issued multi-million-dollar fines. Now, a German data protection agency announced an investigation into PimEye's last year for possible violations of the European privacy law known as GDPR, or the General Data Protection Regulation, which includes strict rules about the use of biometric data, aka your face. That investigation apparently is still continuing, but Grigori says he is not concerned about privacy regulators because PimEye operates differently. He described it as almost being like a digital card catalog, saying that the company does not store photos or individual face templates, but rather URLs for individual images associated with the facial features that they contain. It's all public, he said, and PimEye just instructs users to search for their own face. Whether that architectural difference matters to regulators has yet to be determined, and we will see where this goes. But I don't care if it's all he's doing is externally linking to faces. They've got to find them, and if they are returning results across the entire internet in seconds, if I upload my photo there to show, I don't know, pictures of me from 20 years ago, whatever it is, these are things that matter. This is obviously a very huge problem that a lot of people have, not to mention the fact, and I'll say it again for like the 8th time, imagine the stalking capabilities. Imagine that basically being a serious issue. Let's say somebody wants to stalk you, they see you, whatever, they take a picture of you, they upload it there. Now they've got all of your information. So much for privacy. This is the problem that we have. Now, we have the internet, and we've had it for decades at this point. And obviously, as it grows, we continue to upload pictures and videos and all those kinds of things. And as I advise, things like students when I'm talking to children or young adults, I always say, like, think about what the world is going to see, if you put something out there. Meaning, if you're going to send a photo to your friend, imagine your entire school can see it, and now what do you think? But we're talking about things that are basically being captured by other people. Imagine if you're in the background in some way, shape, or form, and somebody takes a picture, posts it onto their own Twitter feed, website, blog, whatever, and you just happen to be in the background, doing whatever you're doing. Now you're out there. Now you're easy to find. This is a huge problem, and I think it's not going to go away anytime soon. I don't think that, Clearview AI or PimEye or any one of these are going away anytime soon. In fact, I'm sure there are those that are flying under the radar, not advertising themselves in this kind of way. But nevertheless, these are things that we really have to look at, we really have to understand, but we really have to be careful about. We need to educate ourselves on this, as we are living essentially with the selfie generation that takes pictures of freaking everything. We're going to be in pictures, whether we want to or not, purely because there are cameras everywhere. This is a huge issue. These are things that we need to address, we need to consider, we need to talk about, because at the end of the day, we're all going to be in PimEye, and that is a terrifying prospect. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, where, again, if you're not in Clearview, you're in PimEye. Same with YouTube, where you should subscribe to me. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks.